Chad. How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. How are
Good.
you?
Good. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Had a great weekend. My wife's dad came into town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He just did a little surprise visit. He hasn't gotten to see our daughter since she was like this big. So
Mm.
it was really cool to watch him just interact, to see her talk and all that. She's a lot bigger now. So he had a great time being Pop.
Yeah, and she's pretty expressive too. Like she's very animated and very like he's probably like, oh damn, okay, it's like that now. All right.
She is a actress. Very, 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 very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Yes. I noticed that it did in just a few brief moments last time. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. Well, look, so let's talk about that because I think your father-in-law could probably shed some light on this, but we'll try and do our best here, just the two of us. Marriage and fatherhood. I want to get into those. So like let's talk about what you have seen so far in your years of being married and having a young child now, what you have seen as the benefits of married life, and then we'll go into fatherhood in a minute.
Oh, well, I mean, to be honest, it kind of is all like one thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It all kind of works together. I don't know. I just feel like the entire thing, it forced me to improve. Just so one, I became like this forward thinking person. Before, as just a man, you make all these goals and you accomplish all these goals, but I didn't have any like real purpose besides just accomplishing goals, and accolades that didn't do much for me because it's just me. And I just feel like, meeting her, it made us start thinking about the future, right? Start thinking about having a family, start thinking about where we want to live, right? And then we have this baby, and then we start thinking about where we want to live for real. So, I mean, it really improved kind of just every facet of my life because now I have to make plans that are financially responsible, that work out for more than just myself, for two other people, and kind of for our benefit, right? I just have to become this new person. I got to make more money. I got to work harder, which means that my business relations had to, improve. I couldn't just do the small jobs. I have to shoot for the big jobs. all that. It's made everything center focused on one particular goal, which is how can I bring more of this, which is smiles, to the faces of my wife and daughter. That equals success. Everything that I do goes into those smiles and to that comfort. So that's kind of what I see. I see it all as the same thing. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it's like this incarnational feedback loop where now there's this manifestation of like, okay, well, before all this stuff was just like, it was thoughts and plans and everything, but now there's like this person that kind of represents that stuff.
Yeah.
And represents like how you need to adjust those plans and why you're doing it and all that thing. It's all incarnated in a person.
Yeah.
And so now you have, and then you get the feedback from this person, whether you're doing it right or not.
Exactly. And it's made me, even the channels, the Strong Dad Protocol, the movement that I envisioned 2 years ago of, making a healthy lifestyle as a father, so that I have, as much time as I can on this earth, so that I can do as much with my child. All of those things, it came from just not wanting to let go of the feelings I get every time I see her. I just think of not having that, or her not having, those smiles when she sees me. And that makes me want to live longer, want to do better. I quit smoking cigarettes and all that stuff because I just wanted to be with her more. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks for itself. If you want to increase your years on this earth, having a child will definitely motivate you to do that. If you do it, because some people just have kids because they're like Blueface, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Or Antonio Cardi or something.
I really am for taking your kid away and giving it to a better family if you're a person like that. But if you're, really out here trying to do this for real,
Mhm.
you're gonna.
And that's who we're talking to, right? Is the people who are they're coming here to, or at least we're trying to. If that's not who we're talking to, or we're trying to make them become,
We have
that's
the
who we're
wrong
talking
audience.
to. Right. That's
We have
right.
the wrong audience.
We want to convert our audience or make sure that this is the audience that we're talking to. Yes, for
Exactly,
sure. Yeah.
exactly. But you've been, obviously you've done all these things.
Hmm.
So I suppose the question in reverse would be, what have you found to
Hmm.
be, benefits of these things? Because I'm just talking about what I see
Yeah.
and where I'm at right now. It's still young compared. So
Hmm.
what have you come to find as benefits to these?
So I guess I'll start with the fatherhood piece because that's kind of where we're talking about like your daughter and everything and that stuff. That what I have seen is that like you learn a lot about yourself because you start to see things, and a lot of times it's the stuff that annoys you about stuff that your kids do or the stuff that you get frustrated with them about is like you're like, that's because that's what I do. That's why,
It's
because
confronting.
I know this is a flaw that I have not yet fixed in myself,
Okay.
and I see it in them, and I'm like, don't do this because it's a mistake. It's going to cause you problems. This is the stuff that gets me in trouble. Stop doing this, that kind of thing. So you learn a lot about yourself. Um, I also think like having kids start and really like even having a relationship with my parents does this too, but like you get to see a in again in like an incarnational way, like a window into like your relationship with God. How like you think about how you think of your daughter and how you would do anything and how it's like she could do anything and you're still gonna love her like it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing where like there's this unconditional love mixed with um this sort of I don't know, like an outpouring of like you want to give them whatever they need to succeed and
Hmm.
have all those benefits and all those gifts. So that's one of the things that I see there. And then finally, like it's just like legacy. Like what does it mean to be a human being, and how do you impart what you've learned so that you can maybe save them from some of the mistakes that you made already and
Yeah.
kind of give them that little leg up on getting an earlier start on doing the right things than we had, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I, I was talking to my neighbor 4 days ago about the legacy thing because in our neighborhood, like 4 or 5 families all had kids at the same exact time. We all had our first child at the same time. And I talked to this dad out here and we talked about that legacy thing. And I told him about how I write to my daughter, how I write like a story of how I see
Mm-hmm.
her in our relationship and all these things for her to read in the future, because
Yeah.
that is another way to kind of leave a legacy of, your philosophy
Mm-hmm.
behind. And so, but I wrote something down because you were talking. You were saying your relationship with your child is like seeing your relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is what you said,
Mm-hmm.
and I I really vibe with that because when I look at when I think of that, I think of God is supposed to be within us all. At least for me, I believe that within us all is God. God is within us
Mm-hmm.
all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I am to believe that when I interact with someone, in this case, my daughter or my wife,
Mm-hmm.
even, that I'm not just uplifting or healing them or showing love to them or a caring hand to them or anything like that, but I'm nurturing a relationship with the God in them, and
Mm.
therefore the relationship with God and myself, because it's bringing me to that space. That's how I've kind of seen the importance to nurturing relationships with the people close to you. So I thought it was interesting that you use that terminology, because
Mm.
that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of how I see things when in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like you can ask, if you're asking for the types of things that that your parents will know is good, is for your good, they're going to give it to you. And if they know that it's something that's to your destruction, they're going to not give it to you. And so it's a lot of that's, that's where kind of some of that stuff comes from for me, is that there's this unconditional love, but then there's also, with that love, doesn't necessarily mean I'm just going to give you everything you want,
Right.
because some of the stuff you want is going to destroy you.
Exactly.
And so I'm going
Even
to
that
protect you from
firmness,
that. That's
that
right. That's right.
firmness too.
So,
It's a relationship.
yeah. So, all right. So, what about the marriage piece? Because I'm about to have to do a dad thing here in a second. So, I I have somebody who is very adamant that they need to leave now, and they just decided to ask me to help them tie a tie. So, we're still in that. We're still in the mode of, like,
All right.
dad's got to do the whole,
All right.
like, somebody's not confident in tying their own tie yet, and wants to make sure that dad does it right for him. So
That's what you're here for, man. That's what
yeah,
you're here
so
for.
he's like ready to leave, and so if you
Listen.
if you give me a minute, I can tie it while you're talking on my neck, and then I just hand it to him, and then then he'll be good to
Put it
go.
on your neck. Put it on
All
your
right,
neck.
all
Tie
right,
a
here we go.
tie
Here
on
we go.
screen
I'll
so
tie the
that
tie
people
on
can see
screen.
that.
All right, I'll let
And I'll
everybody
tell
see
you.
this. Yeah.
So when it comes to being married, when you actually find the right one, the one that you believe will nurture you the best and love you the best, here's the main benefit. You have a power partner for anything that the two of you want. If the two of you have a goal, you have two people, two heads to work with.
Yeah.
For everything, for finances, for building, for whatever it is the two of you want. And if you have found a person who has dreams like yours in mind, then there's no limit to how far you can actually go. There's people in my family, boom, who've made it, miles away from where people thought their destination would get them, based off of working together with their spouse. And I mean, also, don't you just, when I was single, the one thing that I didn't like about the nights when because you don't want to be with people just so that you're not alone, right? So once you get over that unhealthy behavior, there are nights when you're not going to be with someone, when you're going to be alone. And when you've had a hard day at work and you come back home and you make your food and you sit down and you watch your favorite show or some shit like that, and you turn to laugh because you saw something funny and there's no one there, that really gets you in the feels. Don't act like you ain't thought of that, single man. And that feeling right there, why do you want to have that?
Man.
There's really nothing like coming back home to someone and then enjoying moments that you used to enjoy alone. That banter, that all of those things are important. Those things are, you live longer because you smile. You think being a bachelor and having less stress is good, but imagine if you actually do this the way a man should. You're probably going to live longer. Smiles and laughter and joy, they heal the body more than you could even count, more than you could amount to imagining. So that's the benefit of marriage for me.
I feel you.
Good job on that tie. Good job on that tie.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So I was under a little pressure. I mean, you can see. I don't know if you saw. I was distracted a little bit earlier because he was coming over here. He's trying. I was like, "Can you give me 10 minutes?" He's like, "No, I don't have 10 minutes." I was like, "Oh shit. Okay, fine. All right, here we go. Here we go. You're either not wearing a tie, or I guess I'll tie it on the air, whatever."
Hey.
Yeah. So so that companionship was one of the things I was gonna. I mean that it's not. It's not crazy that you figured that one out already. That's a pretty simple and straightforward one. But it's also, so it's not just, you touched on this a little bit too. It's like there's having that person that you can laugh and share some time and just like come home and just be like raw and open with, and not have to like filter like you do at work or in some other settings with people who don't get you on the level that this person gets you, right? And there's also that ride or die element to it, where it's like, and that's why I think it's really important that people, when they're starting to look for this, if you're looking for all these other things, and like having someone who really is going to give a shit about you and who you really give a shit about, and having someone who will go through everything with you, and is not going to abandon you when the going gets tough, and who you're not going to abandon when the going gets tough. Now you've found the foundation for how you can build, because it's going to take work. It's going to take effort. You can't do it without that. And so if you think it's going to be easy, you're barking up the wrong tree,
Yeah.
and something's gonna snag you.
Yeah.
And then the last one is like, I kind of want, like, my wife is very strong-willed, and I kind of like that because she checks me on some shit that I need to be checked on, and helps me to refine myself in a way that I've become a better man being married to her than I would have been had I not been married to her. So and I like to think that I've helped her in that regard too, but I'll let her vouch for whether it's
That's
just been
serious.
annoying or if it's been
That's that, that's I feel like everybody's got that one thing that they do that's an unhealthy behavior that
Yeah.
they just have a hard time eliminating on their own. And you
Mm-hmm.
meet somebody who does that for you, and
Mm-hmm.
it changes it. For me, it was the positive outlook when it came to finances. I'd gone through so much between, getting out of prison and in and out of
Yeah.
different types of work. I had one, I was financially irresponsible, but two,
Mm-hmm.
very financially irresponsible. But I just had a paralyzing fear of outcomes, of even if something good would happen. And, my wife,
Mm.
she really just kind of like drilled into my head, the idea of opening yourself up to the universe. And now I see it like, when we're seeking abundance, we accept the work that comes to us, and the benefit, the payoff is the abundance afterwards. I
Mm-hmm.
never really put those concepts together very well, and
Mm.
she really did that for me. So
Mm.
I kind of feel like we all need something to just kind of bring us down from the cloud, because I mean, at least if you're a man who has goals and who's out there just
Right.
enjoying life, even you need to be brought down just a little bit, just to
Yeah.
understand what the rest of the world is like from that perspective. So
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, a little dose of reality so that you can actually um, do the things necessary to get you where you need to go. Because it's one
yeah.
thing to, because I had this, like we talked about before, both of my boys play basketball. And there was a time where, like, they had this, they're like 9 years old and 6 years old. And they're like, I want to play in the NBA. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be really, really difficult. And you're going to have to put in a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, now, if I had just said, oh, yeah, you're going to do it, you're going to play in the NBA, just keep playing 2K and you'll get there.
And
Like,
you'll be
you know what I mean? Like, no, like they had to get that little,
yeah.
you're going to have to, while other people are sleeping, you're going to have to be out there, putting in work so that you can. And that's just like, the first step is like, make whatever your middle school team, then make your high school team, and then whatever, do the best you can there. So there are a lot of steps along the way, and if you're not doing the work to even do those things, that NBA thing, you can kiss that goodbye.
That's right.
So yeah, it's tell some white kids who are going to be like 6 feet tall if they're lucky, or I should say maybe like 6'3" if they're lucky,
Yeah. Yeah. 6'4".
My oldest one is like a little over 6 feet tall. So but it's one of those kind of things where it's like, it's you got to be wicked with it.
Yeah.
To be even like somebody like Chris Paul, like 6 foot tall guard, like if he wasn't wicked with it, handling the ball and shooting like he does, he wouldn't be in the NBA.
What about Muggsy?
Muggsy, yeah, like Spud Webb, like those guys, like no, those dudes were wicked with the ball in their hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that comes from
what's that
work.
white dude? Steve Nash. Is it Steve Nash?
Steve Nash, and then Jason Williams,
Yo, man,
White Chocolate.
But I don't like to watch sports, you know what I'm saying? But there was a time when I was in cuffs in the cell, and man, during the season, I was rooting for Steve Nash for some reason. I was like, yo, look at this white boy go.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so mad when they had the 2008, I think, or 07 or 08, where they like Robert Ory like knocked him into the scorers table, and then Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire like got up off the bench and started walking towards it, and they suspended him for the next game. And like that's how they gave the Spurs like another title, was they just were like, yeah, we're going to suspend those two guys, and then they'll lose game 5. And it was just, next thing you know, it was too late. Anyway. But yeah, so that's, I think, having that kind of bring you back to reality and let you know what you're going to have to do to do those things is always a good person to have in your corner, if they can check you and point those things out to you.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, I'm glad we got that talk to.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I had a question for you, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a surprise question.
You always have a surprise question, Trey. Like, this is not surprising to me anymore. I'm just waiting for what's the surprise question going to be.
A question next time, and then it's going to be a surprise.
You're going to surprise me by not asking me a question.
So check it out.
All right.
You go back in time, okay, and you talk to 20-year-old you. Okay, you give him 2 pieces of advice that are law, meaning once you give it to him, he's going to enact them no matter what. You don't know what the trajectory of your life is going to be like. And then you have another option. You tell him one thing that he can or cannot listen to, and it can guarantee that your life will take the same trajectory as far as, main events, but where you are now might change. Which option, and then what are the things you say?
No, I would do I would give advice. I wouldn't give a thing to not listen to, because it would just be too, like, it's one of those things where, like, once you say, like, don't listen to this, it's like, all right, but I can just offer something that's like slightly different, and it's still going to be just as destructive, but I would say that, the advice that I would give 20-year-old me would be to stick with a degree that I can actually use to make money off rip, because I struggled for a minute with this, again, chasing this dream of I was going to be on ESPN. I was going to be on SportsCenter. That was my thing. Like, and that was like, sports channels were blowing up back then.
Okay.
It was like the era of, like, ESPN had started to expand to like multiple ESPNs. You already had ESPN2 coming out and everything. And then like CNN had sports stuff, and they were like
That's
channels popping off. And cable was, kind of exploding with all, more channel offerings and everything. So it wasn't completely unrealistic to think like, okay, well, there's some options. But the thing is, what people don't tell you when you're going through journalism and broadcasting school is that there are a bunch of old people who never die and never go away, never retire, who just keep those jobs forever. And unless you are willing to be single or just have a miserable married life where you're working all nights and weekends. And the other thing is too, like, I want to do sports stuff. No, I like just like playing sports and going to enjoy sports, like as a fan in the stands or whatever. I don't want to go to a sporting event and be like in the press box working and writing, and I can't get it. You know what I mean? I can't get hype or anything. Like, no.
Yeah.
But it worked out all right. I turned the broadcasting skills into sales skills.
You're hurt.
And so now I'm selling stuff, and I'm doing all right. Yeah. I would be better off though, like if I had done that. But it's one of those things where you never know. I think everything happens for a reason, and so just keep learning as you go, and then do the best you can. But to try to lament what you didn't do 5 years ago, you're wasting time.
You're just gonna
doing shit you need to do now. You're
just gonna daydream.
That's right.
You're just gonna daydream. If you're gonna daydream about
some stuff you have control over, like, or
what you want to, like picture yourself in that car you want, or in that job.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Something that you can go get, like, not daydreaming about some stuff that you can't undo. The hell you do? Right. What good is that going to do you?
That's right. See the surprise question. The worth is in the end of it. So
that's right.
I'm just saying.
There you go.
But hey, man, I appreciate you stopping by with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm glad y'all are here. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe and ask us
Absolutely.
some questions. I would love to cover some other topics that other people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, much love, y'all. Peace.
Peace, y'all.